league right now. Team Queso number 3, both averaging almost 10 shots per game. Whoever can shut that down has a good shot at winning this game.
And in terms of the philosophy of their approaches, BS Plus happy to use any kind of method they can to get by you. Yesterday, it was just, boom the ball down the field, force the other team to be consistent with their touches in their own half, and that's what got them through the day, really, the tournament. Demenso trying to set up a good spot here for Queso as BK Salem demos the lead man, Freaky, and a shot on target already. A Chronic has to pick up the first save.
The shot certainly will be a big deal. Also, the challenge game. Both teams have strong challenge games. And when you have two teams that have like strong parts of their game and they collide, it's usually the team that can't get their game going that falters. And not a lot of times you see teams where they don't get to play their style but still come out on top. And maybe it's a very even deadlock match, like Giz was saying. That we might just get a battle of two teams duking it out, but you could see a team break ahead as well.
Well, I think that there's certainly some, credit due to a Chronic, and has really helped transform the BS Plus roster into what it is. Shot from Freaky's just going to go in. Throws 2 defenders on the goal line, and BS Plus are first on the board.
And Atomic ran into BK Salem. And I think that's what stopped them from challenging the ball any faster, which is why Freaky had so much time to do something with it. And unfortunately for Team Queso, that bump cost them the first goal.
And was talking about a Chronic, but James mentioned it on the desk too many times. Have the casters, the community have doubted Freaky, but yet Freaky always finds a way to hang around and can always put the ball in the back of the net. That kind of consistency has put him in this spot again. Godsmilla can't set anything up for his team, and it's been a struggle for BS Plus to get consistent offense going, but they never really needed consistent pressure. They might need it now, though. Atomic will take advantage of the bump on the line for the first goal.
A fantastic bump here, I believe by VK Salem, came off the back wall and just punched Godsmilla out of the way. Wide open net for Atomic, and for BS Plus competition, you got to look out for that Team Queso, very physical team, as we're already seeing. You can't just leave Godsmilla back. It's got to be a team effort on the defensive side of things.
But for BS Plus, when your game isn't working and you can't trap the ball out, hang on a second in front of the goal, Freaky sneaks a save out. Demensa, though, pops it over another one. But this guy, a Chronic, has been the X factor for BS Plus, hitting that insane shot yesterday that you saw in the pre-show today on the highlights. And that kind of X factor can really help when, like you were saying earlier, if your style isn't working and you can't punch through Queso, sometimes it's a mechanical player like a Chronic to break the gap.
It certainly is. And, I think the desk, they talk a lot about a Chronic because of what he's done recently, but nobody's really mentioning Atomic. Number 2 in the league right now in goals per game. He's been putting up numbers. And I know a Chronic is this new and shiny player, but Team Queso, they have great offense of their own in Atomic.
Atomic's pretty shiny and new still.
Yeah,
even in relation to a Chronic. That's true. That's very true. Still fresh cheese off the top shelf. Freaky takes the ball away from Demensa. VK Salem forced back into a tough spot, and Godsmilla will punch it in. BS Plus back on top.
And I'm curious what happened here on the defensive side of things. Demensa's touch never came. It was a good drop down from Freaky, and VK Salem went all the way to the corner to not get any boost, and then had to rush back to the net boostless. He couldn't get back in time, and a great touch there from Freaky to set things up.
Another go here for Team Queso, and they almost get the shot off the kickoff. That's the kind of game Queso like to play. They can throw as many shots as possible to your back wall, your backboard, or your net. Does not matter. They will throw the house at you until you break. Pinch for VK Salem will relieve a little bit of room, but they are under a little bit of pressure.
BS Plus competition doing a good job of taking away boosts as well. Godsmilla kind of snuck into the defense of Team Queso, really not going after any ball or player, just slipped through 2 of them to take away the corner boost and allowed that attack to at least get across the net. BS Plus competition really couldn't do much with it, but still, that's the type of gameplay that you need to kind of starve a team like Team Queso. They certainly need that boost to perform on offense as they have. And right now, they can't get through the midway point. BS Plus, that shot on target turned away.
with Demensa. Almost found a pass out, but Godsmilla there to cut it off. Something else BS Plus did well yesterday was cutting off passing plays and not allowing them to materialize too far past the point of no return. They're able to snuff out a lot of those plays, force the defense to fully rotate back, but Demensa continues to be a problem for BS Plus to handle, and that ball jets right back to the blue half.
Atomic got a hold of that one. It's a shame it wasn't on target. Still, Team Queso on the attack. VK still in. Devil's the last man, but the shot too high from Atomic. That could have been the game-time goal there, as BS Plus lucky to see that one fly away.
Oh, Demensa saw VK sailing, but the option was covered by Freaky. He's able to shovel the ball back out to Atomic, who misses the touch, and now Demensa gets kicked by Atomic. Demensa can still make the touch, but that was a dangerous ball for Queso. And now left with only a little bit of time left and one more push in the tank. Atomic under one, forces the ball around Godsmilla. VK Salen helping out. Demensa pushes one out of the way. Godsmilla trying to fight him off the ball, and BS Plus handle the attack there at the end from Team Queso to take game one.
That's a painful way to lose game one, I think, for Team Queso. You had BS Plus right where you needed them to find the back of the net and couldn't do so. But look at those stats on the screen. 10 shots for BS Plus, 12 shots for Team Queso. And then look at the saves, 9 on BS Plus side and 8 for Team Queso. I talked about the shooting and how important it is. Well, both teams got the shooting game going, but both teams also had the defensive game going as well, keeping this one a relatively low-scoring game.
Yeah, and you know, it was exactly as Gibbs thought this one would play out, at least for game one in the context of this game. It was, they both got some solid opportunities at the net, but both sides were also good at managing clears and not letting one team stay in the other half for too long. So it feels very even right now after this first game, and it's all about who can deliver on the opportunities that are created, because once you start missing and you hit the crossbar once, well, this has the makings that might be the only chance you get to get yourself in the lead.
Right. It's a good point to make, because you saw right there at the end for Team Queso, that was the chance to put it away. And it wasn't honestly the easiest shot in the world with the pressure that the shooter had on them. But still, when those chances arise, you have to put that one away. You're not going to get that many. The challenge game has been strong from BS Plus throughout this game. And so when the opportunity arises, you've got to convert. This one rolling to the BS Plus side. Chronic pitches it to his own corner.
You know, Demensa behind the ball for Team Queso to start the offense. I really haven't felt, despite the amount of shots Queso have put on, the BS Plus, they haven't really felt their poise break down at any point on defense. Everyone's always been in a solid spot to pick a gap and shoot it back to the orange half, so they haven't really felt that strain exactly on defense. Long ball that Chronic's just going to get back to. And Queso can handle the touch. Atomic, that is. And VK Salen will have a lane forward. Godsmilla already up, but VK Salen right by him. And Chronic barely gets the save off that double touch.
Just landed on him, and really perfect trap. Now the pass coming across. That one's cut out by Godsmilla. Now in the transition, BS Plus trying to make something happen, but Team Queso so quick to get back.
And that last pass from Queso was risky. Godsmilla was all over it. BS Plus still doing a good job locking down the passing lanes. Now they're going to have to lock down a shot. VK Salen makes it difficult, but now BS Plus again. Chronic got the clear. Atomic setting up VK Salen for another push, and Team Queso starting to grab more possession and more of midfield as we're ticking down here in game two. First minute and a half gone.
You're seeing a lot more space afforded, especially in the air. Team Queso gone to the sky here in this game. And BS Plus, they're kind of huddled up on their goal line a lot of times. This one, again, just kept out.
Oh, wow.
And while it may only be one save, now maybe two for BS Plus, they are feeling that pressure, and a good clear from Freaky will get them out.
Demensa able to lay it down to Atomic. VK Salen already downfield. He's got the first, but Freaky has the backboard covered. It's not over. Demensa hard shot. Godsmilla right there for the save. Demensa collects that corner boost, and the push will continue for Team Queso. Salen takes the other midfield boost, but they can't grab onto the ball. VK Salen gets the read, but Atomic has to wait. And now it's a battle for possession in midfield. Demensa gets a clear lane, and Freaky can't grab the ball, or Chronic has to come in to clean up.
And how many times have we seen the ball go off the back wall of BS+'s side? This could be it. BK Sailing gets 2 to go. Atomic's not going to turn. Demensa goes for goal, but it's too high. Now Atomic with some boost to work with, and that touch is going to be tough to get back. And the attack fizzles out for Team Queso. Again, Darby feels like they have BS+ on the ropes. They just can't convert.
Oh, Demensa rolled it off his dominance. Almost rolled it into the net. A Chronic able to push it out. Back to Atomic, though. We go off the back wall. Double tap denied again. Lots of rebounds coming to Queso on the back wall, like you were alluding to, Corelli. But those double taps have been defended every time. How long can BS+'s defense survive like that?
Well, the way it's going, it seems inevitable that Team Queso will break through. BS+ have registered 0 shots so far in this game to the 9 of Team Queso.
And it's getting a little closer the longer we go. Demensa, Freaky, has been clutch on defense, keeping Queso just outside of their grasp. And boom, it bounced off a Chronic, off the crossbar. It's not even over. As Atomic comes forth, hang on, Godsmilla gets them out of a jam. A Chronic taking enforcer roll, and Godsmilla can't find the touch. Freaky can though, and somehow BS+ turned dirt to gold.
And that's like the first attempt that BS+ have had downfield with someone coming to the ball to strike it on target. Other than that, there's been no attack from BS+. They're 1 for 1. Technically, they're 1 for 2, but that was a great attack from BS+. And they finally get on the board after playing so much defense, so it's paid off. And now they're trying to squeak away with a win.
BS+ embody the phrase, you're only as good as your last challenge. And just, you know, you gotta survive for as long as possible on defense. Then you get the one transition off of a favorable challenge, and all of a sudden you're in the lead. 2 more shots came out from BS+. This is looking now solid. Some renewed energy from BS+ after their last kickoff.
Yeah, it does bode well, especially when you can get out of your end and get to a kickoff just to reset. A lot of times you can get in this weird rotation where the other team is so precise on taking your boost. Tough to break out. I think that's what's happened for most of this game, but Reset trying to prevent that after the goal with 30 seconds left. BS+ trying to hang on, maybe a second one here as VK Sailing has to pick it up and dribble it away.
Now VK Sailing will keep the push going back over to Atomic. Godsmilla as clutched up on the 50s in the closing minute. Freaky now next on the assignment. Well, the ball split between 2 defenders on Team Queso's side, and VK Sailing saying his name a lot on the defensive end. Now back on offense. Demensa sneaks it right back into the net. We got a tie game.
And when BS+ push up, Team Queso take advantage of the transition. Godsmilla and Freaky both rushing to that ball. The double commit leaves the net wide open, and Team Queso on their 11th shot break through.
Push come to shove, they finally break through. Godsmilla almost got that touch. Demensa pulled it away. Atomic kicks his own teammate out, and VK Sailing's not done. 20 boost and a dream towards the net, but Freaky kills it, and we do go to OT.
It's good for Queso. With all that pressure, you feel like they should have at least had one. They get themselves to an overtime, which is probably the best they can ask for. Atomic could have ended it, but didn't get around it enough. And BS+ once again get out of a tight situation.
Demensa forced to respect that clear potential from BS+. And now Godsmilla's already up in the air. He's got the first touch. He doesn't have the second, though, and it's grabbed by Demensa. Still, BS+ will retain midfield. A Chronic next up on the push. And a scrum in the corner. 4 cars found themselves around it, and Freaky desperately looking for the back pass. A Chronic demoed off the play, and that was looking scary for a moment for BS+, but that back pass saved them.
Queso been gifted here in the midfield. Atomic tried to go under Godsmilla, and a good challenge. Godsmilla's challenges have been spot on this game.
Yeah.
Big reason why BS+ is even in this game. And now a Chronic downfield. But the back wall couldn't get there. Demensa cleared away. A Godsmilla, not enough boost to catch up to that one. This Team Queso has some space to work with.
Godsmilla midfield challenges, Freaky solid clears, and a Chronic filling in the gaps where he needs to. He hasn't found a lot of space to work with against Queso, but his touches have done enough work to keep BS+ in the conversation, and maybe a little bit more. Atomic's challenge bounced down in front, and Queso will try a push again, but their pushes have not yielded many fruits. Only one, in fact, out of how many attempts to cultivate some success there in the blue half. Godsmilla pushing forward again, back to Queso territory. Oh, a chronic.
Look, got a touch, he won it, but still the attack on here for BS+. Now registering some shots up to 8, and that's a scary thing for Team Queso. BS+ certainly in it. As Freaky looks for Godsmill on the far side. Good cutout by Demensa, but it's only as far as Godsmilla. Push it back towards the Queso side, and they'll respond.
BS+ might have to get more creative. Well, maybe just a bump will do it. No! Atomic gets there in time to save his teammate. A chronic off the ceiling can't make the challenge happen, and Godsmilla far back on the rotation will keep BS+ and on the conversation for this push. Freaky launches it downfield, but DK Sailing there again. The defense for Team Queso has held on after the outpouring of offense in overtime from BS+. And in fact, they've had some dangerous transitions on top of it. A chronic getting pumped back down to the ground will prevent him from being able to push.
That was very fortunate for Team K, so that was probably the best look. A chronic's got to go on an individual effort, and he got bumped on his way up. He had boost to work with as well, but still BS+ in a fine position here. Freaky looking for the back wall. He can get there. He does find it. No shot on target. Nobody to help him out.
Oh, Salem got bumped out of the way. A chronic, 2 nice challenges. He got the demo as well, and the shot's good from Godsmilla. Ace combat from BS+ to take the game.
MVP effort from a chronic to get across the box. The second effort to pass it out, and then the demo. Godsmilla, he's been lurking there all game, waiting for BS+ to set him up. He likes to clean these plays up, and he's just waiting for it to come down. And with the demo, BS+, they squeak away with a Game 2 win.
Godsmilla with a cool 7-10 points to top his team on the leaderboard. And that is justice for somebody who made so many crucial challenges in midfield. And a trio of 4 saves for BS+. Their goaltending and their defense continues to impress and continues to help pole vault them in this knockout gauntlet. It's actually insane that it keeps working.
Yeah, and for Godsmilla there, I mean, what a performance from him, not only to finish that shot, but like you're alluding to, the defensive side of things as well. He kept BS+ into this. And I think for BS+, they certainly don't want to have another game like that. They were shut out for basically 4 minutes of that game where they were just backed up, saving shot after shot. I think the last time I looked, we were 3 minutes into that game before BS+ even had a shot on target. So it was not a good game from BS+. I think they know that. But they got away with the win, and that's what's important. Now let's see if they can kind of carry that momentum that they had in that final minute into overtime and take it to Team Queso here in the 3rd game.
Yeah, but I mean, how many... Oh, Demensa slaps that one down. Freaky sets up Godsmilla. Ended up side flipping, probably defended, so wanted to get back down onto the ground. Already a push from BS+, chronic hopping in front of it, making things awkward as possible for Queso, and they missed the ball. Freaky couldn't find the net, kicks Sailing out of the way. Godsmilla gets this one. A chronic's ready, and just like that, BS+ sliced through Queso like a knife through butter.
They're all over him. Everybody having an opportunity on net. I don't know if Freaky had an open net and just completely missed, but either way for BS+, they break through in beautiful fashion all over the defense of Team Queso. That's the aggression that you expect out of them.
And that grab you saw from a chronic when he cut rotation just to try to keep that play squeezed within the box, you could tell all of Queso did not expect him to do that. They did not see it coming, and that froze everybody for another half second or so on the goal line, and everything else cascaded from there. The BS+, at the start of this game, you were saying the last game you felt like it wasn't the best showing from them, but that's the thing about BS+, is that even in their worst showings, they still find a way to hang around because of that defense. That goaltending in front of the box has kept them in so many scrappy matches, and it's no different here against Queso.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, look, they looked actually pretty good in overtime, but the first 4 minutes of that last game was pretty painful for them, and they're doing well here, obviously with the first goal, but they're breaking out of their side. For Team Queso, they got to get a little bit more creative now. BS+, they picked up the pace, they're getting some bumps, and a chronic's going to put it away.
This is all a chronic on this play. Able to push right by Atomic. Demensa not ready for this. He tries to get onto the back wall. A chronic knows it, and Atomic punches it in for a chronic for all the work that he did to put that ball in front of the box.
Now you start to get worried for Team Queso. They have what it takes to compete here with BS+. Their record against them is not very good. But they have been able to take it to them at times and in games. I mean, Team Queso have looked good in a lot of these games for the majority of some of these games, yet cannot convert on a lot of their opportunities. And now they're letting BS Plus into the attacking zone, and they will take full advantage. Atomic has a flip. No, he didn't get it.
Uh-oh.
An opportunity here for VK Salem, but it's getting a little messy.
What?
As he does keep the ball. And he has a little bit of boost to work with. Can he get back to it? He can't. And BS Plus to get possession.
That's the thing about Queso in the match, right, Corelli, is that they've had so many threatening transitions. Like they've caught BS Plus out on a couple of opportunities that, you know, BS Plus made the better touch on defense, and then nobody was really ready for a follow-up. And now the offense is starting to dwindle. Halfway through the game, Team Queso, this will be their second shot on net, and they won't get it because Chronic took the opportunity away.
There you go.
Oh, he ripped it.
Oh, he missed.
Oh, he missed. Oh, he got it. All right, Atomic punches it in. Takes a couple of whiffs to get to the center of BS Plus's net, but that one will do.
I thought for sure Godsmiller or Chronic was going to get that touch away. I did not expect Salem to even miss that shot. And still, Team Queso, they do capitalize. This is good. This is what we're talking about from Team Queso. BS Plus, they will make mistakes. You have to capitalize, and that's certainly one you have to put away. And they get it here to cut the lead in half.
Still going to need to pull into that hat of creativity at some point. Although they might get a nice transition here. Freaky hops in front of it, and that's been the pain point, right? They get that quick transition. You get solid contact on the pass, but then somebody's always there to cut off the passing play. The pass is either too long, or BS Plus are just positioned well enough that you really didn't have an option, and you at least have to try to test it. Godsmiller punches another one off the back wall.
BS Plus, they sit deep defensively. Like, they're happy to have two players on offense with a man way back. You've seen it many times, especially with Godsmiller. He will sit very deep in his own half when they're in the attacking third, collecting boost or whatever he's doing. And it works because Team Queso, every transition is broken up by that last man sitting so deep.
Especially Queso, they know that too, right? And they're setting somebody up in midfield to try to force that defender into a poorer position, but it's so hard to do that. And so they have to find a way to either take that defender out or force that defender to bite early so that they could catch them on a 2-on-1 or something of that nature. But they haven't really had a lot of those, man advantage chances against BS Plus. Their rotations have just been too clean because of everything you said.
Here comes the Chronic, and he put another one away, and BS Plus a lot of time here in the box. Atomic's touch isn't the best. And VK Salem, I mean, he at least blocks it, but it still goes towards the net. And a Chronic, that's an easy shot for him to put away. A 2-goal lead now.
A Hattie for a Chronic. All 3 assists also belonging to Godsmilla. And this has been a comfortable game, where game 2, you were stressing, but game 3, you're relaxing if you're BS Plus. Chronic up top, and not a lot to work with for Team Queso. Only 4 shots on net, contrasted by the 5 from BS Plus, but that's what makes the control feel so smothering from Queso, or not from Queso, from BS Plus. And even right there on that push with the demos, they can't get the touch, and they have to really force this ball through. Here's Atomic, but Demensa's right there as well, and they got to reset quickly, otherwise this is going to be a quick transition.
Demensa tried to block Godsmiller out of the way, but he will not be denied. Can he go the distance? Atomic has to make the save. And with time ticking down, Team Queso, they just need to score, some time left on the clock. This could be the opportunity, but Atomic's pass cut out. Demensa goes all the way to the other side for boost. I don't think it's going to happen. BS Plus going to hang on here, and a great rebound from their last game. Even though they won it, even though they won the last game, this, I think, was a lot more control and a lot more of what we expect from BS Plus.
It was their game, right? That's when BS Plus win a game handily, that's almost always how it looks. Low shot totals, and the defense handling anything that they can, and then taking advantage of every mistake that Queso give you. We currently have a situation right now, so we're on a quick pause, and we'll get back to the game as soon as we can. We appreciate your guys' patience, but with Corelli, and for Team Queso, down 3-0 in the set now. We already saw one best-of-7 reverse sweep today, but the stats are not on your side. The chances are very, very slim for that to happen twice.
Sure.
It feels like this BS Plus has this in hand. But if they don't, and if Team Queso have a thread left in this match, Why does it happen, and why do they come back? Tell me, Corelli.
Well, in my personal opinion, I feel like for Team Queso, they're not taking advantage of the man advantage they have on their own side. When we talked about BS Plus sitting so far back, you know, you're up men on your defensive side of things. Use that space because it'll be there. There's only 2 attackers from BS Plus. Use that space to break out. I think Team Queso really wanted to find the point man downfield and skipping the midfield. And I think that midfield is actually really important for Team Queso. They skipped it so much that BS Plus really weren't threatened by it because they were able to cut it out almost every single time. I think I counted 3-4 times in that game alone where the last man from BS Plus, he reads the clear from Team Queso that they're trying to find the man downfield, and they just instantly challenge. They get BS Plus back into it and get back down the field. So for Team Queso, I think it's just a little scatterbrained, moving out from their own end. And obviously something that we've been saying the entire series, Team Queso, they have to convert when the opportunity arises. We've seen that multiple times throughout really all 3 games where they weren't able to convert. So for them, it really does come down to, look, you have the weapons, you have the attack, the offense, you have the individual prowess, but nobody is able to put it to the back of the net.
And so we will play out the final moments of that game. And Game 3 is now concluded. Now BS Plus are on match point, and Team Queso will take a tactical timeout. Much needed here, and maybe a little late. We see a lot of teams take that tactical timeout when they go down 0-2 in a set. 0-3 is a little risky because you only really get one chance to really take a breath and reset.
Well, I mean, I feel like you have to, right? Because if you don't take it now and then you lose, you might think back and say, hey, maybe a timeout would have helped us. So they're kind of forced to take it at this point if they're going to take a timeout. And, you know, like we just broke down, or like what I just said, in my personal opinion, that's what I feel like Queso's done wrong. But I really don't think, you know, with all the things that we said about Team Queso, Joker, I really don't think they're playing a horrible game here. Like, these are close games. They're low-scoring games. They're not getting blown out of the water. I think BS Plus has gotten the better of a few challenges as well. But Team Queso, they just got to tighten it up a little bit. And what that means is they've got to use each other downfield. They've got to use themselves as a unit moving downfield, because a lot of times BS Plus, they can isolate the one man, whether it's the point man downfield and long clear or just coming out of their own end. BS Plus, they're winning those challenges, and that's what's slowing down Team Queso.
Yeah, I mean, Queso, their creativity has been stifled through their own double commits on offense, through that panic that they feel on defense. But you have Atomic, who's risen to being second in Europe in goals per game. And you have a wonderful supporting cast behind him in Demensa and VK Sailing. We see Demensa have a lot of good pushes in this match to set his team up, but then everything just kind of falls apart. They have to find a way to find their striker the ball, whether it's through demos, whether it's through, you know, feints or back passes, or fakes, or whatever, what have you. Whatever they're doing right now is not working, and Atomic has to get more involved on offense. Otherwise, this will end in a sweep.
Yeah, and I think that's what Team Queso is trying to avoid here, is not ending in a sweep. That would be detrimental to them, obviously, but we'll see what they do coming out of the break here, out of the tactical timeout. I think a lot can be said. I think that they've, you know, had good moments, and I think it's important to focus on those, especially for Team RL, especially when you're sitting down 0-3. Everyone knows the long road ahead, right? This isn't just going to be one game at a time, because you could try that, but everyone knows that you've got to win 4 in a row in a best-of-7. That is a lot to ask of anyone.
Well, you know, if you follow any other esport or any sport for any length of time, at some point you're going to hear a coach or a player say you have to have you have to be able to lose your memory in a short amount of time. You got to have short-term memory loss for the bad moments in these games, because it will affect you and your ability to push forward in the next game. That's what Team Queso need to do right now. They need to forgive and forget and move on here in game number 4. The hill is steep, but they are capable of climbing it. VK Sailing has the first catch in front and will end up stealing the boost out. This might be a good push, but Godsmilla throws it out. Demensa will keep it locked for a second in the blue half.
Let's see what Team Queso got for us here. BS Plus, on the other hand, they are cruising in this series. It's been dicey a few times. It hasn't been pretty in a couple of the games, but they've got the job done here so far. Looking to close it out. That might be an old goal. Chronic, he's got to turn it away. That's great reactions from him coming off a Freaky. And now he gets a little fake down the field. He gets to the sideline, has Freaky again in the box, lets it bounce off. Some brilliant work there by a Chronic, but just ran out of boost.
And managing what he could with the resources that he had. Queso able to thwart that idea from BS+. And now a bump onto a Chronic that just put him right into position. Demensa can't get the shot. Godsmilla is all over it. And now a quick transition for BS+. Godsmilla pumps it back onto the ground. A Chronic light shot that is handled by Atomic. And now in midfield, back under conflict. If Queso can push it forward. Demensa, 2 players on BS+ got caught out together. But Godsmilla, again, has just been so crucial on these catches and these clears. He's really had a solid match for BS+.
Oh, absolutely. 100% for Godsmilla. And sometimes he's a little bit of an unsung hero because of what a Chronic and Freaky can do. But on the defensive side of things, he gets big stops. On the offensive side of things, he cleans things up. He's just that man to fill in the gaps for BS+.
Well, hey, you got to remember, Corelli, before they were BS+, they were Godsmilla's team.
That's true. That's
you
true.
You can never forget him.
Right. He is the center of this team for sure, and everyone revolves around him, and there's a reason why. He's had some great series before as well, where he's popped off individually, and this one, you know, might not be a series that he gets talked about for, but he's done a really good job of keeping this team together, especially when things get dicey. Because again, Team Queso's offense, they've been strong. Godsmilla has been able to block a lot of these tough shots coming out from them.
Now Chronic will be next to push up. No wide angle shot for him. Demensa's got it covered. And BK Salin is hoping to push this Team Queso, or this BS+ team, back to their own half for a couple of minutes. Atomic able to shake that ball out. And now Demensa can keep the challenge alive for Team Queso. They finally grab hold of midfield. Now how do they commit on offense? Atomic slips underneath. Oh, the post is off and out. No good for Team Queso. Freaky downfield will kill the ball back in midfield. A Chronic rips it back to Freaky.
Oh, no.
High touch against the backboard. Freaky double touch. Oh, my goodness.
Another heartbreaker for Team Queso. Look at the space for a Chronic, and you can even see the shape from Team Queso. Nobody that was there to get up to Freaky, and that's a routine double tap with Queso, who had the shot on the line and off the crossbar, turns into a goal for BS+.
Queso had some time to think about it during that tactical timeout, but now time is not on their side. A minute 35 left to go for them to get on the board. Otherwise, they're out of the tournament. Atomic. No touch for him, and that's just been Queso on offense. They haven't really had any kind of shape on offense, to use your terminology, Corelli. They just have been dumping the ball down to the blue half. Now they have a man advantage. BK Salin in front, forces the ball out, but then again, a Chronic comes around, sweeps through on the follow-up. Atomic shot through two defenders, threading the needle.
Finally converting for Team Queso, and you were about to make the point, Jeremy, how good BS+ were staying together, but look at this small little gap Atomic finds between Godsmilla and Freaky. Great power behind that ball to tie it up with a minute 10 left.
But they're missing that type of quality shot to be able to take advantage of a gap that small in BS+'s rotation. Finally, they crack through it. Can that be enough for the confidence? Can that be enough for the approach for Queso with a minute left? Well, only time will tell. Demensa gonna push forward. BK Salin pops it up high, but few balls have been awkward for Freaky to handle on the backboard. That one no different. Chronic got downfield with no boosts. Take some pads for his efforts, and BS+ will take back over in Queso territory. Some nice clears, though, have kept BS+ honest, and Godsmilla gets the ball back out to his own corner.
Yeah, great little pick there from Team Queso. Now an opportunity. Can Atomic get around to it? Godsmilla doing well to get one more touch on that ball to shovel it out, and BS+, they get out. Now a little pass from Atomic. Doesn't get over to Demensa, but the demo might open up some space for BK Salin. He's going to receive his own pass off the back wall. Only 8 boosts for Atomic here, so Demensa has to go. And now the transition's on for BS+.
Not where you want to be if you're Queso, but that clear certainly helps the nerves a bit. Atomic shot denied by a Chronic before it could go anywhere, and that will lightly touch the ground. How did they approach it off the kickoff to start overtime?
I see as it's pretty even kickoff. Does go back to a Chronic. See if Team Queso can squeak out an overtime here. Been a much better game for them as far as staying in it, not letting the lead grow too far. They've been generating some good chances. This one comes across the box, but a bit clear from Acronic. We'll get BS+ out.
Godsmilla kicks another one up. Acronic tried to get underneath. VK Salen, at least being there was enough that time. Now, kicking another one off the backboard, but the backboard's been closed for business in BS+ territory. Freaky and Godsmilla, in particular, are the ones I think of the most. I've grabbed every single one of them. There's another one Godsmilla grabs.
Yeah, it's not working. You got to find those lateral passes or just the individual effort here from Team Queso. And you can see the clears from BS+. Look at that one. Away from the defenders in a 2 space. It allows them to throw it down the field. And now, coming off the backboard clean, here comes Freaky. Doesn't get the touch. At least not the one he wanted. And Godsmilla will sacrifice himself to push it to the Queso side.
Demensa trying to handle that ball. He saw Acronic. Acronic gets a bump in net as well. A low shot off the bounce.
Freaky.
And the rebound comes through for Freaky. Godsmilla comes around, and they dive in front for another save. Acronic waits for Godsmilla to push. BS+ trying to end this right now. Demensa flipping, praying to get this by Freaky, and he finally does. Queso survived what should have been a goal somehow. That was disastrous, but they came away unscathed.
Now they might have an opportunity to take over this overtime. VK Salen throws it out to Atomic. Here's the chance, and couldn't get around it. There's going to be a lot of power behind it anyways. It's Freaky here to try and clear it away, but you're right, BS+, that was their big opportunity to end this series. And good defense by Team Queso. They're throwing a lot of bodies, but maybe not here off the back wall. Oh, Freaky went for it, but couldn't get there.
Chronic needing that full boost tank. Godsmilla. Ooh, that rotation's getting a lot looser for BS+, but they might have found the gap. VK Salen got caught out, and he barely makes the save. Back over to the corner for Atomic. Freaky off the backboard. Acronic waits onto the ground, and he might be rewarded with the ball, but Demensa, massive challenge back down to BS+ territory.
Wow, I thought VK Salen was beat there. Just got caught out for only a split second. Acronic got monster power behind that touch. We keep going, 2.5 minutes into overtime.
Atomic has VK Salen, but again, Freaky making it awkward. VK Salen pushing it forward. Demensa double committed, and Freaky will turn off on the boost, will opt to take that steal instead. It works out for him as Godsmilla forces the next challenge. Now BS+, they've been able to thwart any kind of Queso push at their net. There are 13 shots from Team Queso. Only one have gone in. Match it from the 10 from BS+, and there have been some solid opportunities on both ends, but right now BS+ marching to their own drum beat. Freaky getting kicked out of the way. Team Queso putting some discord to the rhythm. Can they finally find the shot to keep the series alive? Godsmilla will kick it back up to the ceiling, and VK Salen again in midfield. Atomic up here quickly. 2 BS+ defenders frozen on the goal line. Acronic grabbed the rebound, but another light shot taken away by Freaky. Right back out into space. Atomic will keep the push alive for Queso. A light rotation, but VK Salen making it awkward. Acronic getting bumped and chipped out. Will get the touch, and Queso, for as much as they had for pressure, are back in their own half.
And they were making BS+ work for that defense. It was VK Salen, can he do it himself? Going for the bump, but Freaky gets there in time, but they are locking in BS+ right now. It is a different game. Team Queso looking to take over. BS+ have struggled to get out with boost or possession, and Team Queso throwing bodies and making it work.
Back around to the corner for BS+. It's a tight rotation on defense, but it has held firm so far. Team Queso looking for a crack. Acronic rips one. Atomic picks up the save. Again, Freaky shot to commit for Queso to get the clear, but it'll be Godsmilla's ball. Downfield, it's right into VK Salen. Acronic on the rotation will keep Team Queso honest in midfield. Here comes the push again. Godsmilla gets bumped. Freaky picks up a save with no boost. He almost was the disaster for BS+, but he gets them out of harm's way. 2 demos put them right back in the wound. And VK Salen gonna take away the boost, gonna let the ball fall back.
Oh my, Acronic was in such a tough spot facing Atomic shot. And still here it comes, and Team Queso chasing Acronic in the backfield. Now BS+, can they find the back wall? It's met by Atomic. BS+ finally get out. They had to field a lot of offense from Team Queso. 11 saves for Freaky alone. That is unreal.
He has over 1,000 score. About 5 minutes of overtime played now. Godsmilla really wants to force the issue. Got to be careful with touches like that. Acronic was ready for it, but if he's just a little farther forward, hang on a second, he's got the pass. and 2 committed from Team Queso. The gap is open. Godsmilla forces one back into the net. He's got no boost, but he can at least force 2 up from Team Queso here. Team Queso in panic mode right now. Atomic forced back. Demensa wants a clear. He's got VK sailing downfield. Keeps it close. Achronic's up for it, but he can't get to it. And Freaky able to put the ball back down onto the ground. Demensa kicks it hard against the back wall. Queso, it was Atomic diving forward, but there's no shot. And Demensa able to stop the bleeding. In fact, maybe even punch their own wound, but it rolls off the crossbar and down. Try as they may, no matter what they do, the Team Queso cannot find the net.
What the shots for Team Queso, 9 for VK Sailing. This one might have a chance. Godsmilla turns it away. There's been 16 saves on the BS Plus side, 12 for Freaky. As he looks to end it here, he's got full boost. He's got the flip down. Godsmilla's there, and a good challenge from Team Queso to keep that one out.
Team Queso like a Gatling gun on offense. Demensa blowing through one. The shot never comes. What? Wait a minute, the follow-up blocked by Godsmilla. And the Chronic gets the clear out to the corner. BS Plus, a titanium wall. Unable to be cracked through. VK Sailing punches it off the corner again, and a Chronic gets the clear back out to the corner. Atomic kicks this one high. Freaky gets the grab. Godsmilla low boost and misses the touch. A Chronic making up for it, and Freaky will get the punch downfield. A Chronic, the last man back. VK Sailing for Queso's tournament lives. Punches it in for Atomic, and Queso, a long overtime, survive.
Oh man, I can't wait for people to see this stat line for both teams. And what a great play. And you notice at the end of this overtime, in the last, I don't know, 2-3 minutes, you really saw the demo and physical game pick up for Team Queso. And that's, I think, really what paid off for him. Obviously, with that last goal, 2 players going for the ball. But look at that stat line for everyone. I mean, take your pick.
Why not?
Absolutely
There's multiple
wild.
double-digit stats on here. You have 11 shots from VK Sailing, 12 saves from Freaky, 7 saves from Atomic. Add up all the saves. You have 17 from BS Plus, right? 13 from Team Queso, and you know that's one of the most ridiculous games that we've had all weekend.
That massive
that
stats.
game alone. Oh.
I mean, 2 players dropping 1,000 as well. Freaky at 1,200. My goodness. I don't know. I don't remember the last time I saw 12 saves in a game that I've casted. And you know, we've complimented BS Plus, especially Freaky and Godsmilla, who were, by the way, the only people to make the saves. Chronic somehow got away with not making a single one. But, you know, they did a great job of keeping away Team Queso for as long as they did. But I like the changeup coming out from Team Queso. They really started to show the physical side of things, and I think it opened up the field so much more. You could even hear it in us. We were starting to talk about Queso more and more. They were able to stay on offense more and more, and it got real dicey for BS Plus. This game could have been over, you know, a minute into overtime, and Team Queso is going to get a freebie here in the first 3 seconds.
Oh, the wheels fell off Godsmilla's Octane here off the corner, and just had the misread. And that's a bad one to start the game, especially after a really long overtime. You know, Godsmilla, he's been clutch for BS Plus, but that one hurts a little bit in a match where you've had a lot of shots, but not a lot of goals.
And for Team Queso, you check off the first box. You get the first game back. Now you're looking for 2. VK Sailing with a shot. Wasn't on target. Good work from Team Queso. You know, we talked about what it meant for them to go in the tactical timeout, what it meant for them from a coach's perspective, and how these players should react to, you know, having to basically reverse sweep. And so far, they get the job done with their first one.
If it somehow happens today, it'll be crazy, but Team Queso, certainly something to be said about their resilience. VK Sailing sets up Demensa, and Team Queso will not just lay down and lose this match. No, sir, 2-0.
And this is just a great individual effort from VK Sailing. Just getting up and over 2 players on the BS Plus side. And a good finish by Demensa. 2 goals up now for Team Queso. BS Plus, can they respond?
BS Plus a little stunned in the first minute. And VK Sailing, how many times has he been the guy to carry the ball out from his own half? I feel like I've said his name more than the other 2 players on Team Queso, just for every start of a push for them. He seems to be behind any kind of positive outcome for Team Queso when they're clicking. And right now, we're gonna have to stop another attack here from BS Plus. This one forced out to the opposite side.
Atomic back into that pinch, running out of boost too. Team Queso, though, still threatening. Good pass over the shot bar post. He slips it by. Some magic in the midfield from Team Queso.
After an extremely long overtime, Team Queso are working with a new pulse, a new energy, and you can feel the electricity from Team Queso. 3 goals in the opening minute and a half is a statement.
Absolutely. BS+, like you said, the best way to describe it is they're stunned here in the first minute and a half. Got to find some offense. They've only registered 1 shot. That was freaky. Haven't really seen much offense outside of that. It's been all Team Queso.
There's that first miss from Godsmilla, the omen for BS+, and how the start of the match was going to go. But BS+, no stranger to fighting back from deficits. They have control now. This is a nice push from Freaky, but it's grabbed by Atomic. Ripped back downfield for Team Queso.
I don't even know if Godsmilla saw Atomic coming. That was a great shot and a good save there from Team Queso. They're back on offense here. Demensa's going to throw it across a Chronic to pick it up, and he's got to use all of his boost. Doesn't get back to it. Godsmilla also just throwing it up as nobody can get real possession here from BS+.
It seemed like a broken opportunity for BS+ too, because Team Queso, there was nobody in midfield, and BS+ just took too long to get the ball rolling. BK Salen cutting off another long pass to Freaky. And things have stabilized for BS+, but they really haven't been able to put a favorable shot on net besides the one earlier you had from Freaky, I believe. But this is still a good push. Nice pinch out. Godsmilla couldn't grab the touch, so BK Salen will send it right back across. Team Queso would love a 4th goal. Why not? The net's open, and Atomic missed. And Godsmilla there to save the next one.
And a 3-goal lead, they can still hold on. Nothing to get upset about here. Last 2 minutes of play. BS+ really haven't threatened that much here in this game. 2 shots now from them. Mensa working his way out of his own corner. The backflip from BK Salen will bail them out, and Team Queso ultimately give the ball back. This one's going to be a shot from Godsmilla on target.
Nice.
A Chronic also has his opportunity. Ooh. BS+ racking up the chances, but nobody putting it away.
Yeah, Queso racking up the saves. That was Demensa's 2nd, 4 total for the team in orange. Kick back downfield for BK Salen. BS+, while they're getting the clears and they're staying in Queso territory a lot longer, the ball's typically contested at almost every step of the touch. But Freaky gets the first, can't get the second, too far down. Chronic trying to force it through. Godsmilla next up. He's got that first touch, but again, Queso's defense looking pretty good, and the follow-up looking just a bit better. Atomic got there.
The challenge game was phenomenal there from Team Queso, making sure that it forced the touch. If BS+ wanted to stay on the attack, it forced them to put it up and over the defender, which slows everything down, and it puts it in a more predictable spot for the players of Team Queso to get to it. That shot's going to be high from Demensa. And a time running out, Team Queso looking to take this one.
This was the match where you snowball things in your favor. You didn't give BS+ any chance to take a breath after a 6-minute overtime, and instead just got that kickoff, scoring 3 seconds in. That'll keep BS+ thinking about that overtime a little longer. Take you an extra minute to shake off losing that one. And now things get a bit tighter if you're BS+. Do you call a timeout here if you're BS+?
I think you do. I think I would if I was the coach of that team or a player on that team. They lost this game, obviously. Team Queso, I think, came out a little bit more rejuvenated after kind of a big sigh of relief, saying, okay, we got the first game. We can do this. Here we go, right? They kind of got back on track here in this game. I think you take that timeout to slow the momentum of Team Queso. Obviously, stringing 2. Okay, there you go. So they are going to take the timeout.
Yeah, it makes the most sense to me.
Yeah, I think it makes the sense too, just to slow down Team Queso.
Yeah, because, you lose that overtime, then you go scoreless in the next game. You need that extra minute to reset. Clearly, something isn't mentally clicking for BS+. And Team Queso dominated the pitch for the majority of that game. It was, until the 2-minute mark that BS+ were able to put more than 2 shots on net? That's not the kind of production that they need if they're going to be successful against Queso, who are in a prime spot right now. That timeout came in clutch.
And I mean, that's the type of production that we saw earlier from BS Plus. So I mean, it's a far cry from what we saw in the beginning. And obviously, I think Team Queso came out with a lot more urgency, and this timeout I think will help with slowing that down. But you're right, there's something has to change for BS Plus, even if it's a minor thing. I think Team Queso really started to figure them out, and I think it's because of that physical game. Obviously, there was a goal here individually from VK Salem to put off the back wall, but I do feel like for Team Queso, that physical game is what's really shaken up BS Plus.
Yeah, it's been a tactical dogfight for both of these teams, and who comes out the victor? Well, I mean, the pitch will tell us, because I thought I knew. 2.5 games in, BS Plus were comfortable, and they won a game. That game 2 that they won was one that they didn't look the best in. And typically when teams win those types of games, they tend to take the match. But that's the funny thing about momentum, Corelli, is it's such a fickle thing and can turn on you just as quick as it's in your favor. Team Queso gonna try to figure out how to keep this momentum alive and not let this timeout stifle the fire that they've been able to ignite.
And, think about the mental game, too, for BS Plus. It sucks to be on the brink so long and not being able to finish out the series, but you still do have a couple extra lives. And surely you don't want to use them. But, excuse me, for BS Plus, you have that opportunity. And I think you have to take this next game of what can we do to counter what Team Queso is doing? Or what can we do to beat them at their own game, right? Because I think that's the big deal, excuse me, for BS Plus is they have to have a different offense than what we're seeing right now.
Yeah, we just haven't seen them have a lot of success in that last game, pushing down the field. They were playing reactionary for most of it. And now we head to Neo Tokyo. Both teams take their sides of the pitch. No more timeouts in this best of 7. Can Team Queso force a game 7 after being down 0-3 in the set? Guild pulled off a reverse sweep earlier today. Queso are trying to pull their own number.
And it would be a brilliant reverse sweep as well after coming out so soft. BS Plus certainly took advantage of that, but it's a different Queso now. See if they can keep things going as they did in the last 2 games.
Again, can't stress the mental game for BS Plus. You can't let oh no, they're gonna reverse sweep us. You can't let that live in your head. You just gotta play the next touch, the next shot. Chronic, that one wide. Anything to keep that memory short term, BS Plus need it in the tank. But for Queso, feeling the energy, get the first push out. We'll see how they do in the blue half.
Very clear from a Chronic. Finding a man downfield, and that's kind of what BS Plus have done. They like putting those clears downfield, but Team Queso has done a better job of meeting it, pushing it back towards the blue side here. It's a Chronic. Needs to get something going individually, but I don't think he picked it up the way he wanted.
No. I think he tried to get under that ball, or maybe try to go under on a challenge. Either way, that's off the backboard. The shot never comes. A Chronic takes that ball out, and Demensa's forced to go lateral. Godsmilla takes advantage. Coming up in front, Chronic has no boost, but the whiff from Demensa. He gets the dump and chase there, and another miss from VK Salem. They almost caught him on a quick transition.
Lucky a Chronic didn't have boost there. He could have taken that one up the wall and done something with it. Comes a Chronic. Now he's got boost. A little bit of space as well. Dishes off the freaky. The freaky shot was blocked by Atomic. Good little passing play, though, from BS Plus. Here they come again from a Chronic trying to keep this attack alive, but Team Queso will get it out.
Team Queso not getting frozen on their goal line nearly as often. Not nearly as many double commits either. And every time they have, those clears have been at least into space where they could reposition, get ready for the next touch. Chronic gets the touch downfield. Demensa cuts that ball out. Godsmilla pushes the ball forward. Freaky shot. Oh. No, way too wide. Had 2 defenders to beat. A Chronic backside, and that will be easily defended by Demensa. Team Queso have not been so easy to get by on defense in these 2 game wins that they've had. But BS Plus, not for lack of effort, VK Salem next to get the clear.
Yeah, it's like, the tale of 2 sides here. Team Queso, they've been great on defense here in this game, but BS Plus, have they been afforded a lot more space to have the attack? VK Salem's shot is turned away by a Chronic. So for BS Plus, I think they're happy in this type of position where they are able to find some opportunities against Team Queso.
BS Plus bought themselves a lot of extra lives, but slowly their life count is dwindling, and getting a goal here might be the first step to finally putting the nail in this one. Coming across a Chronic will get the grab, but there just hasn't been anything too threatening just yet from BS+, though you do feel the opportunity lurking. Chronic, no chance. Queso have blocked every pass BS+ have attempted. Atomic lets that one go, and Freaky will get the clear out.
Very cautious game, I think, from both sides. We're scoreless with minute 40 left. Not too many shots, 2 for BS+, 3 for Team Queso. Everyone knows what's at stake here. Everyone knows what's on the line. And nobody wants to throw their chances, and especially for Team Queso, who still, they're halfway up, but they still got a mountain to climb.
Freaky has to handle this, but Salem was ready for it. And it might be a push for Queso. Godsmilla just got that touch, and Freaky was ready for it. Again, solid in that follow-up position. Nice challenge from Demensa, but no one really has a solid grasp of the pitch right now. It's been a lot of trades. Maybe you get 1 or 2 shots on the back wall, but the physical game has been critical to both teams stopping the other's attacks. Here's VK Salin. Off the bump and in! VK Salin splashes in!
It's been tense through the first 4 minutes of the game, but VK Salin getting a second touch off the back wall, and nobody there from BS+ to stop it. Great touch from him, and both sides have had very close chances here. Team Queso finally breaking through after some great defense.
Oh, a Chronic almost caught VK Salin out, but VK Salin picks up another save. Demensa had the read, and if he didn't, a Chronic was putting it in. Godsmilla, wide shot, and turned away to the corner. Freaky against the backboard. A Chronic's up for this. Shots on target. Freaky tried to punch it in, but it's no good, and Queso now have a breakaway opportunity. Godsmilla trying to force Demensa off the ball. He forced himself off the ball, and a Chronic now gets it back over to the corner. Things die down for a second as Demensa closing the gap here against Freaky. No more time for Team Queso, or no more time, rather, for BS+. They have to find a way to get this goal right now. Freaky off the crossbar. A Chronic was hoping it would come back. Godsmilla gets bumped out of the way. Demensa away from a Chronic. He desperately wants this off the ramp. He got it, but Atomic is in his way. Atomic over Godsmilla. Atomic off of Freaky, off the wall, into the ground. Team Queso, an unbelievable comeback. We are going to Game 7.
One step away for Team Queso to do something that we thought wasn't all that common, but here we are again, set up for another reverse sweep in a best-of-7. And for Team Queso, well earned. Had to weather the storm a little bit more in this game. You could see that maybe the tactical timeout for BS+ certainly worked, but not enough. They didn't come out with the win. Team Queso had to adapt once again, and you're seeing individual prowess from VK Salin to put that one away and give Team Queso the game-winning goal.
I mean, just like Queso's defense, though. Like, yes, you know, they got some solid chances. VK Salin especially was critical to that. But how many passes did they cut off from BS+? How many transitions did BS+ have where, you know, they could have mounted something good, a high-pressure opportunity, a quality shot on net, but somebody was always in position. It felt like what BS+ were doing in the first half of the match to Queso. There was never any room. There was never space. You were always contested wherever you were touching the ball, and Team Queso have put that same spot now on BS+. We're in Game 7 on Champions Field. Team Queso coming back big time to try to eliminate BS+ in the most emphatic way possible.
I mean, well, what do you make of it, Jorby? I have no idea who's going to come out on top. You feel like BS+, they had a good first half of this series, and then, you know, Team Queso have been able to squeak by with a few wins here and there. Now we're in a Game 7. The shot from BS+ actually could have opened up the scoring, but it was too high. For BS+, Godsmilla's downfield, almost getting the pre-flip touch.
Oh no. Demensa, don't. It's okay, he's got the touch. He kicked VK Salin out of the way. Luckily, BS+ weren't in position for Team Queso. Luckily for them. Godsmilla pushing it across. Godsmilla almost got the dish. Off the corner, Atomic tries to push this out. BS+, a more advanced position here in midfield. Freaky can't grab that read though, and Godsmilla will have a look.
We talked about the mental game, and you know, very few players are even in this position, so it's tough to say how they feel. I'm sure nervous and obviously a little tense, but both teams know that they can take down each other. They've been proving that over and over, and Freaky gets on the board for BS+ off the Godsmilla pass.
And that's the thing about BS+, or just teams with Freaky on it, because how many times has Freaky been in this type of situation and he has to make that shot just to keep BS+ within the grasp of a match win to move on to the next match. Freaky, time and again, has clutched up on striking in Europe, and you start to hear James in the back of your head. I don't know how people still sleep on Freaky.
Hey, I've been saying the same thing. And for BS+, happy to have him on the team here, putting his team up 1-0. For Team Queso, not out of reach, but maybe with a second touch from Acronic, he could spell some serious trouble for Team Queso, but now they're on the attack. They get by one. Physical play trying to come out from Demensa, but didn't connect with anyone. Team Queso's attack will fall apart here. BS+. I see this both go. It's a little bit of messy work here from BS+, but Team Queso not there to capitalize.
Good work from BS+, and another clear. Queso, I gotta say, they're not looking the most stable. There's been bumps on teammates, double commits. Oh, and the bump from Demensa, and it turns right around. Acronic says, "Thank you very much for putting me there." 2-0 for BS+.
And I don't really blame Atomic from creeping up here. Two of his players to win. I think he was expecting it to come off the back wall or just be shot in. And so I think he cheated a bit too far into the box, not realizing that nobody was going to get the touch. And that opened up the space for BS+ to counter. But you really can't blame him. You really think that one's going to come off the back wall or something. It's either in the net or bouncing out. Not everyone missing.
Well, even if you can't lay blame somewhere, you still got to find a way in. And Demensa just got punched back into his own passing opportunity. And Queso sent the house. They're feeling desperate after these 2 goals from BS+. Demensa diving back, such a tight spot for Team Queso. Salem will pick up a demo on Freaky, and Atomic, that's the only time he's had any space in the last 3 minutes. Oh, nice dump. Oh, Freaky's all over it. Godsmilla's got the lead, and it's in!
Man.
BS+ go marathon mode, 3-0 in Game 7.
And I think it's because, like what you pointed out, Jorby, Team Queso getting a bit desperate on some of these touches, and that's what's opening up that transitional space for BS+ to take advantage of. Players downfield with space and time, easy shots for them. 1 goal for everyone on BS+, and they're up by 3.
We are approaching too steep to climb territory for Team Queso. If they can get a push here, they can start this clock early. Then you can start talking about their chances. But BS+ have stepped up here in Game 7. Atomic swips around Godsmilla. Freaky gets in the way again. But Demensa gonna take a pot shot at the net. Queso trying to bump them out. Only 1 man back on the rotation. And Queso now in hurry-up mode on defense. Atomic gets that back out to BK Salen. Salen back over to Demensa, and Queso can get this out to the corner, but that's all they're gonna get.
Good demo from Freaky as well. Look at all the space BS+ have. Atomic gets back and bumps Freaky. Couldn't get on it. Atomic again, so close. If he got a piece of that one, that one could have gone through. Demensa still trying to work for it. Team Queso, final minute. Down by 3. They need something, and they need it fast.
Acronic sets up only Atomic here. BK Sandler from across the pitch will not get the touch. BS+ throw it away again. Godsmilla back to Acronic, and that's gonna do it. 50 seconds left, 4-0. BS+ are putting Team Queso in the ground.
And again, Team Queso pushed so far up in front of the play. And at this point, you really can't blame them. They're trying to force the issue. They just can't get it to go. They have 5 shots to their name with nothing to show for it. BS+ up 4-0. A huge sigh of relief for them as they ward off the reverse sweep.
In quick reflection, Team Queso down 3-0 in the match. Call a crucial tactical timeout and then rip 3 straight game wins.
Yeah.
BS+ call the tactical timeout right after that. and now put a 4 spot on Queso in the waning seconds of a thrilling match. A Chronic wants one more for the road. He's not gonna get it. It just ripped off the post. But this has been quite a return to form in Game 7. Freaky off the post, but it's a formality, Corelli. A victory lap around Champions Field for BS+. They're headed to the semifinals in emphatic fashion.
You can see the players of BS+ there, hands on their heads going, oh man.
They're done. They're done.
Thank goodness we are out of that one. Because obviously it would have been a painful loss. I mean, it's always a painful loss to get reverse swept. And for Team Queso, I think they can walk away holding their heads high. That is no easy feat to at least get back to Game 7 after being swept in a couple of those games. They were ugly for Queso. So obviously, the tactical timeout, we touched on that. It paid off for them. Just couldn't come up, or they just came up short here in the best of 7.
I thought for a minute when we got there that we were about to see another guild reverse sweep, but this is why it has only happened 6 times in RLCS history and 14 times in competitive Rocket League history. And you can think about how many best of 7s there have ever been. There have been a lot, and it's just a little too hard for Team Queso to handle. But Corelli, there's one more quarterfinal match left. Who goes to play BS+ in the semifinal? Will it be Galaxy Racer or will it be Aether? Find out after the break.